Yep, the gears are tuned up. Ready for a magic trick? That's a lot of slack.
I'll send you a text message, mate. You've already got all the details because we were talking.
You said that's okay?
Uh-oh.
I think we have a beautiful stump.
So, this is pretty much where we left off in part 1. The engine is almost stripped down to a bare block, but not quite, because the crankshaft and pistons are still in there, so it's not a full rebuild, but it's getting close. But nonetheless, welcome back to part 2. In this video we're going to be rebuilding the engine, so we're going to be spending loads and loads of money. By the end of the video, the engine will be running, and we're also going to be doing a oil pressure remap. So stick around if you want to find out what that process looks like. In the meantime, enjoy the rebuild process and watching me struggle to put this new oil pump into place. But I did get there in the end, so it's okay. We have a new O-ring for high pressure fuel pump because that was leaking. I have a new valve and another coolant piece. This is the part number for the big seal, and this is the part number for the smaller ones. We have part number for that one and that one as well. Now we can move on to putting some new seals on the injectors. We have the middle O-ring, that's part number there if anyone wants it. That's for the fuel return on the top and new copper washers as well. It's definitely time to replace the copper washers. After a whole week of waiting, cylinder heads are back. Intake ports are nice and clean. So we had skim, pressure test, vacuum test. We had the machine shop check the valves on the one cylinder head where the valves hit the piston, but they said that they were fine, so hopefully they'll be fine. They also put in 12 new exhaust valve guides and 24 new valve seals as well. Now we can continue building the rest of the engine up, and hopefully it's Wednesday today. I'm hoping by Friday that the engine will be running again.
The cylinder head's crying. Put it inside. Yeah, your lead is not strong enough. You ready for the champagne showers? Yeah.
So whenever we get cylinder heads back from the machine shop, we always double check it. We don't have a vacuum tester to check the valves if they're holding a vacuum, but another good way of checking the valves is to pour either water or brake cleaner into the ports and see if it leaks past the valve seat. And unfortunately, the first time we had the cylinder heads back, pretty much every single one of the valves was leaking. And when I took the cylinder heads back to the machine shop, they told me that our test is unnecessary because it passed their vacuum test. But in my opinion, if you're lapping valves in, then they shouldn't be leaking anything. But after the second time we had the cylinder heads back, only 5 of the valves were leaking, and after stripping those valves down, there was only a little bit of dirt stuck on the seat, so maybe it would have been fine after running for a little bit, but I don't want to take any chances. The new hydraulic lifters and rocker arms are in place. The engine looks really fresh, probably the cleanest it will ever look in its lifetime again. Over here we have these are like £800 each, £900 each, give or take. So we have almost £4,000 worth of camshafts just here. They're not golden or anything. You'd think they'll be made of gold, but no. This is the intermediate idler pulley, whatever you want to call it. This is what actually is spinning with the timing chain, and then this gear meshes with this camshaft, and then this camshaft spins this camshaft. So it's very over-engineered, I would say, but there is a very special way of putting this gear onto the engine, which goes over here somewhere like this. But the biggest problem is setting up the backlash, and what I mean by that is basically how the teeth on this gear and these two gears are together, because there needs to be some kind of gap. They can't be like pinched together. So we'll see how that goes, because I've never done it, but the guys at the garage have done a few of these before. I'm sure everything will be okay. Over here I've got the camshaft carriers, caps. I'll just give them a quick blast with brake cleaner just to get the majority of the diesel oil off them. Still need to clean them one more time, and then I'll be assembling them with some Permatex assembly lube and getting them back onto the cylinder heads. Some of you might be a little bit concerned, why have we got the engine stripped apart this far, and we're going to be reusing the original guides and chains, because as you saw, I measured the length of the big chain, which is the one that apparently stretches, but as you saw, it's identical. The only thing that we will be replacing is the hydraulic tensioner, which is the main problem with these engines, why they rattle. But once everything's back on, I can put the covers back on with all new gaskets, and then I can move on to doing the front plate. That I need to put back the thermostat, which we finally have a seal from TPS. We were waiting for the seal for quite a while for some reason. I'm not going to film everything in absolute detail, because I kind of just want to get this engine done and back together and back in the car because it's been stuck on the ramp for the past 2 weeks, coming up to 3 weeks. So that's mainly because of these cylinder heads, and to be honest, I'm still not too confident with them, because the first time we had them back, all of the valves were leaking through the seat, literally every single valve. And now the guys said that there's nothing wrong with them because they passed the vacuum test, so they should be fine. But in my opinion, if the seat is not shutting all the way and it's letting fluid in and air up through it, then in my opinion that's no good. But the second time that we've got them back, I think I counted 5 of the valves were only leaking, so in their opinion that's a-okay. I'm going to start reassembling the camshafts, and I'll come back to you when they're on and we've set up the backlash, because I'm sure that will take a little bit of time to get perfect. I've got the 2 camshafts in time with each other. There's a small notch on this tooth and 2 notches on those teeth, so those 2 camshafts are now in time with each other. And then to lock them in the timing position, we need to put a pin through this camshaft into this carrier. I've got the carriers zip tied together because that's the only way to secure them. So now I believe I can fit this onto the cylinder head and bolt it all down. All 4 camshafts are back in place. They're timed up, locked in the timing position as well, and all of these bolts get torqued down to 3 Newton meters and 45 degrees. And there is a pretty crazy sequence on how to tighten them down properly. Now it's time to fit this idler gear, and as I mentioned before, we need to set up the backlash on it. And once I have figured that out, I'll get back to you. So you can probably just about see that when I turn this, the wheel goes up and down. So that's basically what you have to set up to make sure those 2 gears are in a correct position with each other. So this is the setup that we've done. Just a little bit of movement, and we think that that'll be okay. So time to put the chains back on. Brackets nice and clean. Can put it back on. Have a new gasket for this little coolant pipe, which goes in there. So yep, the original guides and timing chain for the high pressure fuel pump is back on. These are in good condition, they're not broken, so in theory we should be good. So now I can put back all of the original chains and guides for camshaft. These are the original guides. There's only some light scoring on them. At least we have a new updated tensioner with the O-ring as well, so that can go in place. So everything is back on. The chain is nice and tight. That new tensioner is definitely a must. Now I can pull all of my pins out, spin the engine a couple times and make sure that everything will line back up again. crank pin back in. Camshaft is aligning with the hole. This side as well. Balance shaft goes in. Fuel pump is in time. So that's it. And the chain is nice and tight as well. So I can put all the covers back on. Got 2 new gaskets for the upper tom and chain covers, and again nice and clean from the Aquablast machine. New filter housing, a new water pump, why have Audi done this? That is... So I'm going to take the whole filter housing off and this coolant pipe back off. So the engine is looking nice and clean. It's coming together pretty slowly, to be honest. I have to really think what part needs to go before this part or that part. So it is taking a little bit of time, but at least it's nice and clean. Tried my best. So the current situation is I'm missing a EGR gasket for the turbo, and this is the last thing to go on. This is a reconditioned turbo. It's going to be a lot better than the previous one, which was leaking through the oil seal on the core. Leave me a comment what you think. I think the engine looks really clean. It looks a lot better than what it did before. The dog is very sad, she's crying. All the pipes are nice and clean. The front is like so fresh. I managed to plumb everything in with all the vacuum pipes. This was a bit of a nightmare on the front because, believe it or not, even though I'm filming the process, I didn't take any pictures of this, or there's a separate wiring loom that goes in the middle. I was probably scratching my head for half an hour trying to figure out which way it goes, and then I found out that I need to take this back off to put the manifold on, and yeah. I should have taken a lot more pictures for myself instead of filming for YouTube, but oh well, we got there in the end. It looks nice and clean. All the injectors are back into place with new seals. The rocker covers are back in with seals as well. I know there's a couple people always asking, what do I use to fit the new seals for the rocker covers? I just use a generic bearing press tool. That's the best way I found, because you can't hammer them in because you will crack the plastic cover. So you've got to press it in. put a bit of lube in and press it into place. But yeah, I think the plan for today will be to get the gearbox back on and then put the subframe back on. The rest of the wiring needs to go back on, which is over here. I was actually very surprised on how small this wiring loom is, but yeah, the plan for today is to get it pretty much ready to go back into the car. From this point, I'm not really going to film too much because I think I've filmed the critical bits with the timing chains, the camshafts, and cleaning everything up and showing you guys the process. And I started this car on the 1st of June. It's now the 17th of June. So it's definitely taken a lot longer than anybody expected. So that being said, I'm going to crack on, get the gearbox back on, get it back on the subframe, get it back into the car. The engine is back in. Everything is connected back up. Well, everything that's necessary to start. I've got the mass airflow connected. I've left the air filter off just so I can see a lot better if there's any leaks or anything. I've also left these big plastic covers off, just again so I can see if the injectors are leaking or not. Hopefully they won't be. Before I start it, I want to spin it over through the starter motor cable, which is over here. So I'll be sending power directly to that, just to spin the engine over to build up some oil pressure, and then I'll probably plug in VCDS to bleed the injectors. As long as there's no leaks of oil or diesel, then I think we can start up for the first time.
So are we starting? Oh my god! It's like motherfucker.
"43 grams of soot." So we've reached 805 degrees on the exhaust. We've got 91 coolant temp. Engine oil temperature is 103, and we're down to 11 grams of soot calculated. Still going. After probably about half an hour, we're back down to 1.3 grams of soot and only 12 hectopascals, I think that is, which is still, I mean, it's not high, but it's on the higher spectrum on idle, definitely. If we give it some revs, yeah, that is a bit on the higher spectrum, but hopefully after some heavier driving it will balance out again, because it was really blocked up. 43 was a lot, but I'm gonna go for a drive now and make sure everything's okay. So the Q7 is back on the road after 3 weeks, literally, of being stuck on the ramp. So it took a lot longer than everybody expected, but not everything goes to plan all the time. Now that's not to say that I spent 3 weeks working on the car. We were waiting on a couple of the gaskets, and the cylinder heads delayed it quite a while. But usually as long as we have everything in stock and everything is ready to go, if I start the car on Monday, by Friday everything's put back together and everything is running again. So working a 40-hour week, and if we take away breaks and getting distracted doing other things, you can say I spend 30 to 35 hours working just on this car alone, which isn't too bad in my opinion. As I mentioned at the start of the video, we're going to be doing a oil pressure remap on this vehicle as well. So we're going to start off by checking the oil pressure before we do anything. So as you can see at idle, the pressure was around 2 bar, and as the engine RPM rises, the oil pressure also goes up a little bit. So the first thing we need to do is remove the ECU, and we need to do this because you can't read the file that's on the ECU through the OBD. So we need to connect all of these wires to the ECU so that we're able to boot it. We then retrieve the file from the ECU. We then have to send the file to our tuner, who then modifies it and sends it back to us, and then we have to reflash the new software onto the ECU. And after we reconnect the ECU, you can see at idle we have 2.5 bar, whereas before we had 2 bar, and at 2000 RPM we've come all the way up to 3.5 bar of oil pressure. Definitely a big improvement, and this will help to keep the engine lubricated thoroughly throughout the whole range of RPM. So as I'm sure quite a few of you are wondering, how much did this job end up costing? And I don't remember the exact figure, but I do remember it was a lot, and when I say a lot I mean £15,000 a lot. So yeah, I hope that figure motivates everyone to service their car on time. I'd recommend to change the oil every year, or no more than 6,000 miles. And for things like the fuel filter, air filter and pollen filter, I'd probably say every 2 years you'll be fine. But me personally, I'll change everything every single year because I don't have to pay anyone to do the labour, I just have to pay for the parts. And to be honest, if you have some basic tools and you don't mind getting a little bit dirty, then you can always service your car yourself and save on the labour cost, but I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, and some people like to get their Audi service stamp, so each to their own. But whichever way you choose to go, definitely stay on top of the maintenance. So that's going to be the end of this video. I hope you found it interesting, especially if you own one of these 3-litre TDIs, and keep an eye out because the next video I'm going to be stripping down a B9 S4 which had a cracked piston. So if you're interested to watch that, then subscribe and keep an eye out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.